Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is a paid request from Malivore, one of two. Thank you for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, it could be a topic, random thoughts on movie news, tier list rankings, movie review, re-review, reaction commentary, video game playthrough, whatever the case may be, I'll get to as soon as I can. And for those interested, thank you. For those who sent them, I'll get to them as soon as I can. Links are down below in info box if you wish to. PayPal is usually the best bet. And thank you. Sincerely, thank you. Now, of the two requests, one of them, Malivore asked for my top 5 favorite comics and least favorite comics. Now, least favorite, that's hard to do because there's stuff I heard was bad, and that's the thing, I heard they were bad, and then I just avoid them like the plague. Because to talk a little bit about me and comic books, I'm not a comic book expert. I'm not. I'm not like some of these guys that just, they read one or two comics, but then they know everything about Guardians of the Galaxy. They're an expert. That's not canon. I'm like, you only read 2 comics. How the fuck do you know? Back where I grew up on a farm in Iowa, you could not find comics anywhere. Once in a blue moon, my mom would take my brother and I to Mason City, which was hours away. Hours. To go to this comic book shop and pick up some comics. So, like some Ninja Turtle comics, Spider-Man comics, Punisher comics. That was mostly what I would look into. And to be honest, I would just read them and enjoy them and didn't really get mad at any of it. Yeah, there's some stories I like more than others, but nothing that made me angry or mad, because I was very picky, because I'm like, man, this may be the last time we come here. I want to make sure I like this stuff. And I did something that's really shitty. Now, there may have been stuff I read that was god awful and I completely forgot about. I took the neuralizer and said, screw it. I do remember one of the bad ones was the Kevin Smith, because it was a request. I think they knew, because they knew I used to be a fan of Kevin Smith. Nowadays, I don't know what the hell he is. But, you know, I love his older films. And he wrote a comic book series called The Spider-Man Black Cat, The Evil That Men Do. Which, that was a whole ordeal where he was supposed to have this longer run, but then he would like stop, and then like 4 years later, there was like nothing. Oops, now we got a comic out 4 years later. And in it is Spider-Man and Black Cat, but then you find out Black Cat became Black Cat because I think like one guy tried to sexually assault her, but then that thankfully didn't happen. But then another guy did sexually assault her, and what was it? Like teleported like heroin into her or something, because he could teleport stuff. I don't know why for the longest time I thought that was also a comic series where someone poisoned someone with semen. But then I tried to look it up before I did this video. I couldn't find anything on it, so that must have been like some kind of weird, awful fever daydream I had while reading the damn thing. Unless it is, you could confirm it, but or some other comic I read that maybe that's why. Maybe it was some other comic I read and I just deleted it from my brain. I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, like, what? That's what you give the Black Cat an origin story? That she only became this because she got raped? Nice, Kevin. Very nice. What the hell? I also remember not really liking the Ben Reilly clone bit in Spider-Man. Because like you're reading the Spider-Man stuff and you're enjoying it, then it's like, wait a minute. This guy was a clone the whole time? So I got lied to? So this stuff that I get into the stories is not the real Peter Parker? Now, granted, when you pick up a random comic, you're not following it month by month. Maybe before that they had told people, yeah, there's going to be Ben Reilly's a clones. So we'll tell you But it didn't seem like that in the comments I read, so I felt tricked and I felt pissed that I was lied to. And the stuff I heard about the Ninja Turtle IDW comics, not the brand new one, I think they just restarted where I guess Raphael's like in prison for one issue, the first issue. I'm like, okay. I'd like to see that movie, Raphael in prison. Like Tango and Cash. I loved you, Conan the Barbarian. You want me? Me and my ass will be in the neighborhood. But I'm talking about like the other one where didn't they come up with like another like female turtle who happens to be gay? Because hey, why not? Surprised they didn't make one of the turtles gay, like, or the gay for each other or something. What's wrong with that? Listen, there's nothing wrong with being gay. And I'm not saying that because I don't want to be canceled. I'm saying it because I sincerely do believe that. I'm just saying that a lot of times they do put this stuff in there, not because they sincerely believe it, but because they think that they want to cater to you as if you... How do I put it? Well, the only reason you'll buy this is not because it has a good story, not because it has a good plot, not because it has anything, but this person's gay like you, so you don't buy it now. And I'm like, doesn't that person, they want a good story too? Like, does it matter if they're gay or straight? Like, is it a good story? And that's like the first thing, second, and third thing you think about, and that happens a lot in some of this current media, and you go, what's the story, though? Well, you don't like, you just homophobic. I'm like, well, okay. And it seems like there's a lot of other stuff that happened that I heard about, but I didn't read it, so I can't say it's the worst. I only read the first couple, which of IDW comics, which I thought was pretty good. The Last Ronin, I know of it. I haven't read it. I didn't get it because it does seem like a very well-told story. It's just not a story I want to read. I don't want to read a depressing story where the characters I love got killed and then Mikey gets his revenge and then he dies. So it does seem like a very well-made, well-told story. It's just as a personal front, I'm like, I want to see Raphael kick some ass, take some names like The Raid Redemption, that type of story. I'm a simple guy. I know, simple-minded. I know. Shame on me. So no, I don't think The Last Ronin's a bad... Number one, because I never read it. Number two, of the stuff I've read up on it, it does seem like a, well... I do the idea of repeating what the fuck I just said. It does seem like a good story. It just does seem like my kind of story. I don't know if that makes sense. So, that's not bad. Not by a long shot. Just not my cup of tea. So that's why I'm like, what would be like bad comics I read? And I didn't, not a lot. So I figured I would go into comics I like, which he did say top 5 favorite comics. Now it's hard to talk about exact comics because, like I said, I didn't get like thousands of comics like people have like all this stuff here. It was only bits and pieces. But I got 5 here I want to mention. Now to put them in order, that's a bit tough. Now, Ninja Turtles would be on the list, but at the same time, I could not think of one single one to showcase. Either maybe City of War, or Return to New York, or maybe The Body Count with Raphael and Casey Jones, which was cool to see them. Although I thought the ending of that could have been a lot better, that's why it kind of goes down for me. The one-shot of Raphael, where he almost kills his baby brother, Mikey, and then he meets Casey Jones. So I do like the Ninja Turtles, but I wanted to pick 5 different ones instead of just talking about Ninja Turtles, because I talk about Ninja Turtles a lot. So I picked these 5. I guess if I go backwards, this, because I thought it was such a cool, interesting idea, the ending kind of craps out a bit because they had to go back to square one and go, well, it didn't really happen. As in, well, actually doing this kind of screwed up the timeline, because even in comic book form, Charles Band didn't want to kill his other creations, but the build up to it I did quite like, and that is Dollman kills the Full Moon Universe. Which I remember I heard about this. I mean, I like Dollman. It's one of my favorite Full Moon films. Tim Thomerson voiced that character. He played the character. I actually wish, other than the ending, they did an animated film of this and have Tim Thomerson voice the character and stick with, no, he really does kill all the bad guys throughout the universe. I think that'd be like the best Full Moon movie ever. But obviously, his take on Punisher kills the Marvel Universe, and then I think Deadpool did one, so there's Dollman. So there's issue 1, and there's the ones from... Yeah, he did various Full Moon films that he kills off. There's... That one is Demonic Toys. This one is Puppet Master and Castle Freak. Pretty much goes in and kills each of these bad guys one by one. Here he meets Dr. Mordred, who's kind of the Doctor Strange, played by Jeffrey Combs in the movie, and then Creepazoids. To me, I just view it as just Lance Henriksen. Tim Thomerson just killing a bunch of shitty movies. Then Killjoy and Hideous, which I never had heard of some of these films. And then Ragdoll, Sea People, Ginger Dead Man. And to be honest, I think what I did was... Yeah, what I did not like the way it ended. So what I did was... I just took the last pages where... It's him meeting Jack Death, and then Dollman having a vacation where he's enjoying time on the beach with this sexy woman. What, I can't take a vacation after the week I've had? Fuck you. That's literally the last line of it. I can't show the picture, just some ass. Bikini ass, but ass. So, and that's the cover there, which is take on the X-Men cover. So, just as a guy that grew up with Full Moon films and loving the Dollman character, and you know, see him have this kind of story, I just thought it was such a cool, quirky cult motif that I couldn't help but enjoy it and put it up. And plus, no one else is going to have it in there, so why not? Number 4, the Thing from Another World comics. Which this was cool because what it does is this takes place right after the movie. So when you open it, it's Childs and McCready going in the snow, in the ice, and then lo and behold, there happens to be a ship. So as time goes on, you have Kurt Russell's character, McCready, which this is the scene where he does the test and realizes he's not the Thing. And yeah, beautiful artwork. You do have some great Thing. I would say the first one is a bit more of a build-up, trying to transition from from the first film to this. But yeah, some cool stuff. I mean, look at this, just cool graphic, gory artwork. And it's the sequel to the Thing we never got. So, I love the Thing, and to me, this is the sequel we never got. So, in my eyes, this is canon. And this is a 2-issue one, because you have issue 2. Now, this ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, but then they did another one called Climate of Fear, which is a sequel to that, with Kurt Russell's character. I think he's in Argentina, because he's in the jungle now. And you look at these artwork. There's such cool artwork there. And if I look through some of the you have artwork like that. And let's see if he has any. I'm trying to think here. I am. That's pretty cool there. And it does leave it on, like, hey, is it dead? Is it? Go take care of that guy's arm, and then it ends. So you just say maybe it did end, or if they ever wanted to do another one. But sadly, there never was more of this, so it just ended there. Thankfully, not on a cliffhanger note. But yeah, I kind of looked at the theme for Another World. These 6 issues. 2 of this, and 4 of this as the sequel we never got of John Carver's The Thing. So definitely had to mention that and put that on the list. Now, with comics, you got to talk about, for me, the death and return of Superman. That whole arc, which is the only omnibus I have. I would love to have more of these, but they are extremely expensive. Holy shit, they're expensive. Because I'm like, oh, I love to see if there's any on Punisher or Spider-Man, but goddamn, they cost a lot of money. So I'm like, nah, I'm good. But this is a story that, such a huge event. This was people, if you were not around at this time, you don't realize how massive the death of Superman was. It was everywhere. There were songs. Superman never made any money. It was crazy the amount of publicity this comic got. Like, they killed Superman? Now, granted, it was a gimmick because the sales were going bad and they needed a gimmick to really get people interested in Superman again, and it worked gamebusters. And then, of course, you had a Brendan Bass, you had the Return of Superman. But it's my favorite Superman story. Doomsday, I love how simple, but how violent and how determined as a villain it is. The unstoppable force beats the immovable object. Just how it completely dismantles and completely annihilates the Justice League. Now, granted, it's not the Flash and other people, but still, he annihilates quite a bit of these folks. So no, it's not Batman or the Flash or stuff, but he kicks their ass. I say he kissed the shot. And then you have this really knockdown, dragged out fight. And then when the death happens, all this stuff happens where you have Supergirl, and then you have all these Supermen coming out of the woodwork. You have the guy that becomes the Man of Steel. You have the Superboy, where did he come from? You have the guy with superpowers, got the big old sunglasses. Then you have the one that's cyborg. And then Superman comes back. He's got no powers as yet. The cyborg Superman becomes evil, and the other Supermen have to work together in order to fix things and make it right. And goes all the way up to this. So I was trying to find a good page. So yeah, just such a massive, epic story of Superman that, to me, people may disagree, but to me this is the most iconic Superman story in comics. It really is. And I had to put it on the list there. Number 2 is this 2-issue comic of Spider-Man that always stuck out to me as the most badass Spider-Man has ever been. And that is when he fought Firelord. And then, now these are reissues, thus Marvel Tales. But, and this one especially, I love that way that looks. Rage. Which, when I talked about Spider-Man No Way Home and how much I hated it, which that review is still up, this is what I used. And I said, if you saw the end of this video, type Rage, which some people did, so that was cool. But pretty much Firelord is this cosmic being tearing things up, and Spider-Man in the black costume, not even the symbiote, just the cool-looking black costume, goes on this topsy-turvy fight through the subway and throwing everything he can, and the thing just keeps on coming until finally at the end he's had enough and he can't stand no more from blowing up this gas station, all this stuff. Which results in this explosion. And this is where Spider-Man's just had enough and just completely just beast the ever-loving fuck out of him. Until finally, Captain America literally has to go, hey, that's enough, son. Now, I know there are people that are diehard comic fans that say, well, this isn't canon because Spider-Man, there's no way he's that powerful. Firelord is like one of the cosmic powerful beings. There's no way Spider-Man could defeat him on his own. But fuck, it's a comic book where people come back to life just like that, where anything can happen at any moment. Where there's 100,000 things literally in comics you could go, well, that's bullshit. To me, this is the most badass Spider-Man has been in these 2 issues. And one that comes close is, I love the Juggernaut. Nothing can stop the Juggernaut, where he's got to get this for Aunt May because she's sick, but at the same time, he's got to try to stop the Juggernaut, who just won't, he just throw everything in his path. And just how he won't stop. You have that great image. I think it's in that one where he's under all the rubble and he tosses himself out and he pushes himself up out of the rubble. The keep going, keep trying, that no give up attitude. That definitely sticks in my head as well as this. So definitely had to mention that. And last but not least, if I had to pick my favorite, it would be Preacher. I remember, honestly, the reason I first read this was because Kevin Smith liked it. Right there it says, more fun than going to the movies, Kevin Smith. And at this time, I was such a Kevin Smith mark. I'm like, man, if he says good, it must be good. In this case, I thought he was right. And I got so sucked into the story. And it's, unlike a lot of other comics, it does have an ending. Pretty much 66 issues. Where you have this guy named Jesse Custer, who is a small town minister. One day he gets this power, half demonic, half angel, called Genesis. Anything he says people have to do. He teams up with his ex-girlfriend and this Irish vampire, and they go on this journey to figure out what this thing is, where it came from. And you have all these different things where they go into his backstory with his family, which is a bunch of hillbillies from hell, pretty much. How he has this kind of imaginary friend who's very reminiscent to his hero John Wayne. To like the military and all these people going after him. There's one guy that tried to blow himself away, but what happens is he screwed up, and now his face is very disfigured, and they call him Arse Face. So, okay, like this, from the heart of Texas to the bitter soul of New York City, this, until the end of the world, Jesse heads south for a brutal confrontation with the demons from his past, his family. And just like these weird cast of characters, there's bits of action, and like this bit here where he bites the guy's arm off and stomps a butthole in him. To Proud Americans. It's been forever since I read this too. And you have like this cult that I think they do like a bunch of inbreeding because they want to keep the bloodline of Jesus still going, but because it all got together, now he's such a years and years, decades, centuries of inbreeding. You can imagine what that person's like nowadays. To this like hitman from heaven or hell, whatever, like that's sent to hunt down Jesse. To this group that had an angel, they were torturing an angel. This is them, of course, down. Like, this has been forever. This is Dixie Fried. War in the Sun. You got Salvation. All Hell's a Coming. And then you have the final issues, which I was missing one or two, sadly, because I got number 59, number 60, no 61, but I got 62. That's the guy I was talking about, Arse Face. 63. This is the angelic power that is within him. So I don't have 64, this is 65, and this is the last one, 66. Because you find out that the bad guy at the end of the story is God himself. Literally God himself. Which is pretty damn crazy. And it works out for the characters too, which is nice. Like, you see God himself getting killed. You have our characters right off to the sunset. And even the other character getting his moment of peace. Where you see he puts a picture up. Which is right here. So, an interesting, in-depth, funny, crazy, weird, topsy-turvy, action-packed, violent at times, sexual at times, original story with an ending and an ending that works out for the characters. Talk about a hell of a story this is. And don't get me started on the damn Seth Rogen show where he produced it with some others and it kind of follows it but kind of doesn't. And the stuff they changed I don't think were for the better. And I didn't care for the people they cast with it. And it was just much better to read than watch, I'll put it that way. I didn't even get that far. I'm like, I give up. Just, nope. Why am I torturing myself when I just read this again? Well, you know what? This is actually one of those things, if you just copy and paste it, it would have worked beautifully. But they didn't. So, well. I don't even know how long that show lasted. But this is easily, to me, my favorite comic book series of all time. Preacher. Without a doubt. So that said, thanks for watching. Take care. Thanks once again, Malivore. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.